Yes. Welcome to it's Balloon Party 101 ESPN. My name's Tim McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett. I don't have time for the pleasantries today because for it being Wednesday, August 21st, this program is locked and loaded. We've got Cardinals. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I say that every day. We've got Blues, Doug Armstrong press conference yesterday. We've got Eli Drinkwitz saying, hey, got to fill the building for the opener against Murray State in 8 days. We got Paul Goldschmidt, bases loaded. They're pitching around Lars Nootbaar to get to Goldschmidt, and he strikes out. Gorman, of course, strikes out. Cardinals lose again. Jackson, there's just too much. The table's been set. Yeah, it's a wide berth Wednesday, but we've got a lot to get to. I want to hear what you're going with. We got Sound, we got John Mozeliak, we got Oli Marmol, we got Paul Goldschmidt, we got Eli Drinkwitz. This thing's locked and loaded for the next hour on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. I want it. Do you want it?
Badly. You know who doesn't want it? The St. Louis baseball Cardinals.
Wow.
I want your immediate reaction yesterday. Take yourself back to yesterday. Your immediate reaction to finding out the roster moves that took place yesterday.
The context is, I was out, and as you know, I work multiple jobs, meat and potatoes guy.
Right, yeah.
And I was working on one of my other responsibilities.
Labor intensive.
Thank you for saying it.
No.
And I was live streaming 101 ESPN and the Doug Armstrong presser. And I had a similar reaction as Anthony Stalter, Jamie Rivers, Kerry Davis, and Marshy Marsh and his playful posse did to Doug Armstrong's line about, I don't care if it was my mother who was in charge of the Oilers, I would do the same thing. And I'm out there, digging ditches, and I'm in the ditch, and I'm just fist pumping.
Right.
I'm like, this is what I want, my general manager.
Yeah. Monster Energy drinks crumpled up on the side of the ditch.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then about 20 minutes later, there's a little buzz on my phone. And I look down and I see it's from Brian Bartow, Cardinal Media Relations. Been handling that for decades, as a matter of fact. And and that's how people in St. Louis sports media get notifications from the Cardinals when the press box is opening, when the press box is closing, and when transactions come through. And I look down on it, and before I even see the list of transactions, my internal monologue was, oh, no, they didn't. That's what I said. Oh, no, they didn't. I hadn't even seen it yet, but I was thinking for that split second before I began closing out browsers to scroll down to see what the transaction was. In my mind, I thought, did they send Jordan Walker down? And I scroll down and I see, sure enough, they sent him down. And Jackson, this program's always been about macro. I want it to be about micro. You say it's got to be about macro. I listen to you.
That's right.
In the micro, you're going, Jordan Walker's been sent down. What in the world? He was just called up. He got to start all of 3 games.
Yeah.
It was confusing. I don't know who wasn't calling attention to that. And then we played the sound from KMOX, Tom Ackerman, talking with Oli Marmol and saying, well, he's got a platoon, and here's the reasoning. And then an hour later, he has John Mozeliak on as a guest, and John Mozeliak says, well, if he's going to be up, he's got to play. And so we're going to have to take a look at the schedule and see how much playing time he's going to get because, as is the case with all baseball teams, they release their pitching rotations on Tuesdays for the next 8 days.
Yep.
And so the Cardinals were surprised to see who they were playing and who they'd be pitching, and therefore, not as an excuse, Matt Carpenter was brought back from the IL, and Jordan Walker then because of the schedule, not because of dysfunction in the front office and the managerial office and them not being on the same page. No. They thought, oh, well, look at this schedule. We are not going to be able to play him, so we'll send him down. And I thought to myself, wow. I now have a new structure to build on my St. Louis Cardinals Mount Rushmore of are you effing kidding me for 2024. Now, George Washington, I believe, is immovable. Yeah. And George Washington is the Oli Marmol contract extension. But I think Abe Lincoln might now be the handling of Jordan Walker in August of 2024.
Yeah, you can just highlight it to August 2024. You can.
Oh, you can make a Mount Rushmore out of August 2024?
No, I'm saying like the Jordan Walker saga. Because I think you can go back to last year for like the origins essentially of the saga. But if you were to just isolate this week in August in Jordan Walker's life, this would be like this. That would be Abe Lincoln. And I've been toying around with simulation theory for a long time.
And if you could, because again, I just said it, I'm a meat and potatoes guy. What's simulation theory?
That like we as humans are living in some sort of simulation by some other beings, and this is like a computer program, and things are totally random and glitch based on that computer program. And that's simulation theory. And every move the Cardinals have made since extending Ali Marmol furthers my thought that this simulation thing might have some validity.
You believe now, based on Jordan Walker going to Memphis, Brandon Crawford being let go, and Matt Carpenter being called back up, and Luke and Baker now getting a chance to play at the major league level in 2024 for the first time, that this is a simulation theory.
It doesn't prove it. It doesn't prove that we're living in a simulation.
Just adds fuel to your fire.
It's just, and you can never be definitive in the way you're thinking. That, the zest of life is searching for answers. But the case gets stronger and stronger with every roster move the Cardinals make.
So the micro is we're in a simulation theory. The macro is an organization that, I would say even within the last decade, was not just a model baseball franchise, but a model franchise for all of sports. I saw Bill Simmons. I know you're a big Bill Simmons podcast guy.
Yep.
And he recently did his top five crown jewel franchises, correct?
Yep, saw that.
What were the top 5 crown jewel franchises? Because we're talking about like in the moment, or are we talking about ever?
It was all time. He went Cowboys 1, Yankees 2. He went...
Cowboys 1 kind of surprises me.
Cowboys 1, Yankees 2, Lakers and Celtics 3 and 4, and then Dodgers 5. That's what he picked as his 5 crown jewels.
The weirdest thing for me, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but I don't get the Cowboys being like, what is that?
I guess because they're
I get the other 4 totally.
Certainly, like by championship caliber of the last 25 years, it wouldn't make much sense. But like in terms of value, just like value.
Well, if that's what we're doing, then that's a.
I think it's a part of it.
Okay, but I mean that's.
I wouldn't put them 1. I wouldn't put them, but they're in the top 5.
I don't even know if I'd put. But if it's based on what this is, Forbes valuations of team.
No, but it's their own criteria. But crown jewel, like the teams that. I don't even know how they were.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they didn't win a Super Bowl in the 80s, and they haven't won a Super Bowl since Barry Switzer, right?
Yeah, but the Dodgers have only won 1 World Series in that time, and even that one is a little funky.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, the Dodgers also have a body of work that goes back. I mean, the football doesn't have the same kind of operation, and the Dodgers had a great deal of success over the last 12 years. And yeah, it's not world championships, but at least they're in the Final Four every damn year. I think going back to 2013, they've been in the Final 8, and most of the years Final 4. I don't know. Either way, whatever. Point being, a decade ago, the Cardinals were like the muse for baseball teams. Mm-hmm. And even though the contract extension was what in the world? Not because I'm like, Ali Marmol's to blame, you can't extend him. It's just like, what are you doing? It's just, this is so rogue, and let's irritate the fan base. And the reasoning we're going to give is we fix the pitching rotation. And if you were to ask me right now, which pitcher in the Cardinal starting rotation has overperformed expectations, it would be Palante.
Yep.
And it might only be Palante. But that rotation being quote-unquote fixed was the reason for Marmol's extension. Total BS, but that's what fans were told. That now this organization is actually on the opposite end of the spectrum. It has gone to a joke. And I'm so surprised by it. And I still have some of the remnants, I suppose, of the belief of the Cardinal devil magic that would take place. And, oh, my goodness, out of nowhere, they're in the playoffs. And, oh, my goodness, that same team's going to win the World Series. Take your pick of 06 or 11. Even 2012, as a matter of fact, when they got in the wild card game and had the infield fly rule against the Braves. But now, and I'm watching that last night. You got Donovan with the hit, Arenado with the hit, Then they walk Newt Bar to face Goldschmidt, and I'm going, they're going to win this game, and then they're going to go on a winning streak, and we're going to talk about the 2024 Cardinals. The same day they send Jordan Walker down, the team takes off somehow. But alas, once Goldschmidt strikes out, Gorman comes up, and I was watching the game with my 6-year-old. I said, oh, he's going to strike out. And then when he struck out, he looked at me like I was Nostradamus. And he goes, how'd you know that was going to happen?
Statistically, it's like way more likely he strikes out than any other outcome possible. That's
correct. And that's exactly what I said to him. And since he was 6, he just walked away and went to bed.
I might have done the same thing.
Yeah. But it's sad. And I say that I expect substantial change, but my ability to handicap the moves of the Cardinals has just really been off because I don't really know what the plan is. I don't know if there is a plan. And that was the perfect contrast to in that same 2 o'clock hour yesterday, which produced a Kerry Davis golden rant on the fast lane, that you had Doug Armstrong speaking earlier and saying, I would have done the exact same thing if my mother were running the Oilers. Forget about it, Stan Bowman or Ken Holland. I don't really give a damn. This is what we're going to do. And because my responsibility is to take care of the organization for which I work and the fan base for that organization. And so that's why I did it. It wasn't about who the GM was. And then maybe the Cardinals were like, ooh, maybe I can sneak this piece of news in here. We're going to send Walker back down and let Crawford go, and Matt Carpenter's back.
Yeah.
And then 6 hours later, they have the smallest non-COVID crowd in Busch Stadium 3 history as the Cardinals are, quote unquote, in second place playing the first place team, the Milwaukee Brewers, on optimal weather. That is where this is. That is where this is. So yesterday, as unfortunate as it may have been from the Cardinal perspective, painted a vivid picture of the state of St. Louis sports at this moment. You have one team that similarly has not had a good last couple of years in the St. Louis Blues, having fans all fired up, even though I think damn near every fan would go, probably not a cup team.
Right.
Maybe we'll have to fight to get a wild card spot as far as our ceiling would go here for the 2024-2025 campaign. And people are fired up. And then you have a team that also has not had a good couple of years, but in 2022 did win the division and did get to the playoffs and has had equity for decades around here, really going back to 1982. And what was a very good 1981 season that didn't wind up in the playoffs because of the work stoppage. All of these years, all of this equity, all of this positivity, all of this success, all of this winning, number of Hall of Fame players. And in a matter of a handful of years, it has become the inverse. Yep. The Blues are the team that people buy into, and the Cardinals are the team locally that people are either irritated by, pissed off at, or the worst case scenario, just don't care. Throw another log on the fire. You called Jordan Walker up 8 days ago. He's going back down after starting 3 games. Why? Well, the manager wants to platoon him, and the president of baseball operations says he needs to play every day. Couldn't have talked about that on the front end. That's what we're discussing here, so we're sending him back down, and we continue to mishandle our top prospect. I'm in awe. I'm in awe of what I'm seeing. And I would think that the owner of the team, the chairman of the team, would be stepping in and saying enough is enough, and therefore something happens either now, more likely in the first week of October, and that's what I would expect. But because they have continued to do things that I can't believe they're doing this, I can't necessarily expect anything, and that is where we are. Meanwhile, Doug Armstrong saying exactly what he said yesterday was kind of like, yeah, that's what Doug Armstrong says. That's what Doug Armstrong not only says, but more importantly, that's what he does. And that's why even a team that most likely is not going to make a deep run this year has fans excited, because you see a plan and you see a GM adhering to it and you can buy in. And it's the complete opposite right now with the Cardinals. And that is where we are on August 21st, 2024. What a stunning, stunning development. Your thoughts, 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, and the YouTube chat welcomes you to participate with 158 friends of the Feathers who have gathered, including Droid Effects, Hunter, Austin Avery, Bill Marsh, Frick James, MD 2020, and Jackson, your guy, John Scores.
Yeah, welcome in, everybody.
Jackson will have his Wide Berth Wednesday questions. This will include sound from John Mozeliak, Ali Marmol, Paul Goldschmidt, Eli Drinkwitz, Doug Armstrong, and maybe we play Kerry Davis's rant just because it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of audio. All of that coming away here on Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Welcome back, Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. Jackson, you've got a Wide Berth Wednesday. We've got a lot to talk about. Why don't you go ahead with question number one?
Banana. Banana.
That's a delay tactic. I don't know if people can pick up these reads or if I'm privy to them because I can see them. But I mean, I think I could have closed my eyes and gone, oh, he's delaying right now because he doesn't have it called up. That's what I think. Is that passive aggressive to talk about somebody in third person when they're sitting right there?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. But
It's kind of a social media thing.
Yeah, but at least you're aware of it.
Yeah, I have self-aware passive aggressive behavior.
Which is kind of like the smarmiest of it all. What's your official prognosis for the Cardinals given their place in the standings, the amount of time left in the season? When will the anger turn to apathy for the 24 season? And how much hope do you think fans will have for an offseason that'll put them in a better place to win?
Well, there's a lot of meat on the bone right there. So you're asking me what I think,
Like, how long do you think they have before people are just like, all right, we've moved on completely?
I think the body's cold, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, did you see the crowd there last night?
30,000 strong.
Right.
But
I'm 6'1".
Right. But they were on their feet screaming and so inspired. That's the best thing. That's the thing. You had the best team in your division, by far the best team in your division.
Yeah.
In the building last night.
I didn't see them running away with this thing. I didn't see the Cardinals falling off this bad either.
You held them to 3 runs. Held them to 3 runs. That's a quality start. That's a good outing from a starter, good outing from the bullpen. The 3rd run came off a misplayed ball by Victor Scott, and you still lose. And you still lose. And the only guy who actually got a hit to score some runs is a guy who was hurt in the last week.
You just air quoted it, I noticed.
You know, his oblique was hurt, and he turns on the ball, and he's like, 35 or 6, maybe older. And he's the only guy on the team who batted in a run last night.
You just threw your pen.
What more can you, you have to hit a little bit. And so, yeah. So you think it's already turned out, people have turned the page?
Yeah. I mean, when we talk Blues in Missouri now, there's more engagement.
Right.
What else can you say?
Right.
It's just another thing. As surprised as I am with the handling of Jordan Walker, I go, yeah, I guess this is the brand now. We just do stuff that doesn't really make all that much sense. So I'm telling you, when I got that text and I saw it was from Brian Bartow, and it's a group text to probably baseball writers and podcasters and radio hosts and television people, I thought, I wonder if they sent Walker down. Because clearly what Mozeliak was saying, what Marmol was saying, conveyed some kind of disconnect, perhaps some kind of frustration, but at a minimum, a disconnect. And Marmol's like, okay, I'm not going to play him. And Mozeliak goes, okay, well, then you're not going to have him. And back and forth we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of self-aware passive aggressiveness, I'll play this John Mozeliak audio talking about Jordan Walker.
I just think he still needs to be playing. That's the most important. And the way I look at Jordan Walker, last offseason he went down and focused on his defense, and he came back and he's played himself into an average defender, if not maybe slightly better. I think this offseason he's going to have to focus on his approach, his swing, and we still believe that he's going to be an enormous talent in this league.
So,
there it is.
With John Mozeliak, do you think fans, can the Cardinals expect any improvement, not talking about on the field, but with fans showing up, because last night was the least attended game at Busch 3, not pandemic, not included. Can they expect fans?
That's right. You got about 20 seasons of a sample size there.
Yeah. Can they expect fans to be even slightly on board if John Mozeliak is back as the president of baseball operations next season?
I mean, I guess I'm going to answer the question with laying this out.
It's a takey question, to be fair.
No, it's not. It's not. I actually don't think it's a takey question. This is what I will present to the audience. Let's say that I think the most likely set of circumstances, I don't think he's fired and gone from the organization. I think the most likely set of circumstances is he would make the move to the business side of the Cardinal organization a year earlier than he was planning on doing. And the Cardinals also would start fresh with a new president of baseball operations and a director of player development and a new manager. And I think, and I present that to the audience, if they were to do that, let's say that you get that news in the first week of October, what is your reaction? And my guess is for I would guess 3-4 million people listening to my voice right now.
Yeah, 5
million probably, but I didn't want it to come off hyperbolic.
Right.
That people go, oh God, that sounds so good.
Yeah.
I didn't add anything.
Nope. We're not saying who's going to be.
And so that's the thing that I keep going back to. And this is a lesson I would imagine some of you perhaps in your own lives or careers have realized this. One of the things, I don't know, I guess it took me into my 30s to realize this. You're 26. It would be great if you could realize. One of the greatest things you find in life is addition by subtraction has sometimes much more value than addition by addition.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals at this point are, whether you consider it to be funny or sad or infuriating, people just aren't buying in. And so a clean slate and perhaps the re-emergence of the Navy caps on the road.
Now you're getting somewhere.
Yeah. But we're not adding those. Those are already in the suitcases.
We get teased with those.
Immediately, people are excited. And I'm adamant that if the Cardinals said, and maybe they wouldn't say it, but man, I think it'd be refreshing if they did say, listen, here's where we are. The reality is, at this point, even after sustained success for however many years they would want to call it, you could say 23 seasons. You really could. I know some of those did not feature playoff years, but they were competitive into September. We are not a player or two away from getting back to where we need to be. But we have some of the pieces already in the organization, and we believe that many of these players are going to be the part of the next generation of great Cardinal baseball. But we're not going to go out and allocate dollars to aging players to hamstring us from getting us back to where we need to be. I really do believe that you would have, for the first time in the Bill DeWitt era, and the first time probably since the Ray Langford, Bernard Gilkey, Todd Zeile, Brian Jordan era of the 1990s, predating you, I think fans would be enthused by that, because then you go, okay, there's a plan. There's a plan. There's a message. I haven't seen Bill DeWitt Jr. all year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying that there's some conspiracy. I'm just saying he isn't front and center. Bill DeWitt III did an interview that we played clips from with Martin Kilcoyne. I actually was not nearly as upset by that interview as I know a lot of people were when he made the observation of, he chuckles, I guess, when he hears people saying we're not going to show up, but we want him to spend more money. I know what he was trying to say. If you isolate the quote and you want to get angry, you can get angry. I didn't take it that way, but whatever. I don't know if they really are trying to sell the team. I'm now opening myself up to that being a possibility, because I don't it's so off the rails that I go, I don't know what the issue is here. If things, to go back to your question, if things remain the same as far as the organizational chart, not even talking about the roster, the organizational chart of power, the baseball side of things, going into the 2025 season, you are going to just continue to alienate a fan base that was truly one of the most loyal you would find in the four major North American professional sports leagues, which is really difficult to do because they're not in competition with the NFL or NBA here. And yet somehow you've managed to do that. That's a phenomenon. That would be the equivalent of the Green Bay Packers pissing off everybody in Wisconsin.
Right.
That's what you've got going on here over the last handful of years.
Yep. I think the Packers thing is a great comparison, because that's a publicly owned team where the voice of the fans is more important maybe than any other franchise. And then if you're talking baseball-wise, the Packers version, the Packers contemporary in baseball is the Cardinals. It is a team that is supported and has grown because of the fan base. It's been in the position it has been. It's a cause and effect. It's a chicken and egg. But I think it's a great comparison. And if nothing changes, how are you going to expect fans to be like, yep, here we are. I'm taking my family and spending $250 today on the Cardinals, even though they are doing nothing to change their mindset on things. How can you convince fans the other way? And if you're John Mozeliak, I get it. This is not the way you wanted to go out. You wanted to ride off in the sunset, call your own destiny. But if you really love the franchise, if you want them to get better, it's clear that whatever you're trying isn't working. Maybe it's the players just aren't playing well. That's fine. We're not firing the players. You step down a year early. That's the biggest thing you can do in the past couple of years. That's the best move you can make in the past couple of years, is understand I am not the guy for this job anymore.
10:33 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. Second half of Balloon Party, including much more from the Cardinals. And Paul Goldschmidt and Ali Marmol, the reaction to last night. Goldschmidt wearing it on his sleeve. So is Marmol now. In addition to that, Eli Drinkwitz saying, hey, we're a top 10 program now. Got to fill the building.
Yep.
8 days away. The game's not sold out. You'll hear from him on that. That's coming your way in the second half of Balloon Party. This is 101 ESPN. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota online. It's stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com, the place I go to get my car, the place I go to recommend you get yours as well. Just go shopping right now for new or pre-owned vehicles at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. You don't even need to go to the lot. You can just go online, just go on your phone, and next thing you know, you are shopping at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. Get to know Jamie Burkhardt and Peter Munganess just like we have, and you will see that there is no need to go anywhere else. You are working with the best quality people who do a wonderful job at Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. If you need to get your car fixed, that's no issue. All you have to do is go to stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com, and now you're working with Ryan Seiberg and that wonderful service department. It's Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, presenting sponsor of Balloon Party on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update, and that is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals lose last night. Final score of 3-2 at the hands of the first-place Milwaukee Brewers. They'll play the Brewers again tonight, 6:45 p.m. First pitch for Cardinals and Brewers tonight. That was our Sports Center update brought to you by Soliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to McKernan, Jackson, Burkett with you. The show's called Balloon Party, and it's presented to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota, 101 ESPN, 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Jackson, you are in the midst of the Wide Berth Wednesday Little Piddles Gangster Poll.
Yep.
That's what it's called.
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Yep, verbatim. All right, changing up the topics a little bit. Going to go with the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkwitz talked yesterday about the importance of selling out the first game of the season to let the country know that
Do we
Mizzou
have that sound?
is going.
Here it is. Here's Eli Drinkwitz.
Here's Eli Drinkwitz yesterday talking about the crowd for the Murray State game.
But our challenge is we need to sell out this first game. All right, we're a top 11 program in the country coming off a Cotton Bowl win, and in my opinion, if we don't sell out the first game, then that shows me that we're not where we want to be as a fan base yet. Okay, I mean that's just the reality of it. Don't sit on the sideline and wait. Well, it's got to be this game. No, it doesn't. Come watch this team and be excited about this team and embrace this team. And the same challenge that I have for our players is let's have a 1-0 mindset. Let's try to be a 1-0 team and be a 1-0 fan base. Don't get excited about the game in November after the bye week. Like, I don't know what that game's going to look like. I know this week next week versus Murray State's the most important game we have. And we need to sell it out because we need to show the rest of the country that we're serious about our program. Let's establish ourselves. Let's eliminate all the noise about what the past history of the fan base has been, and let's establish what our identity moving forward is going to be. And the establishment of the identity moving forward is it doesn't matter if it's a Thursday night, a Monday night, or Saturday night. If we're playing a Faroe Field, we're selling it out.
I like that. I think that if you are going to be one of the top teams in the country, you have one of the venues that you know when you show up, if you are the opponent, that it is going to be absolutely packed, whether it's Murray State or it's Oklahoma on November 9th. That is the expectation. And when you're coming off of the kind of season that Missouri has and the kind of expectations that Missouri has this year, that comes with it. So I have no problem with that. You want to pop off and you're coming off a 6-win season, that's a different conversation. But in this case, I get it. It's a long weekend. Number of people will go down there and have a 4-day weekend next weekend. Yeah, it's Murray State. They're 47.5-point favorites. But part of becoming a great college football program is having an incredible college football atmosphere. And people will want to be there. It's not about, oh, well, I'm going to make sure I'm there for November 9th. I want to be there for the game against Buffalo. I want to be there for the game against Boston College. I want to be there for the game against Vanderbilt. It doesn't matter that those are less than premier programs. It's about going down there to be part of the atmosphere and the energy of what is taking place with, at the moment, a lot of momentum for the school's team.
Yeah, I think college football this year is about to take a huge leap. I think college football, because of the expanded playoffs, are going to take a huge leap in people's mind and the cultural impact. And I think you have an opportunity where Missouri is in the conversation. There are people saying they're either right on the cusp of being in the playoff this year. Some people are putting them in. I mean, they're the 11th ranked team in the country. This is such an opportunity, especially when there's no NFL in St. Louis. There's no longer NFL in St. Louis. You have the opportunity to have a premier program just 120 miles to the west, where you said it exactly right, Tim. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. If Missouri has a home game, there'll be 65,000 strong in there screaming. And that both raises the ceiling of what Missouri can be in terms of national brand prestige, and raise the floor so that the years of 5 or 6 win seasons are a thing of the past, where 8 wins is no longer acceptable, where 9 wins becomes the standard. You have that opportunity right now in one of the toughest divisions in college football. You got to take advantage of it. You got to be it. If you're going to be at the games, you got to be there. You got to be loud. It's such a cool opportunity. It's such a, for young fans right now, like if you have a 7, 8-year-old child, how awesome this opportunity is where they could grow up with Mizzou football being very, very relevant for their entire life. What an opportunity this is. So totally opposite of what the Cardinal situation going on right now. You could be witnessing the birth of a national brand in Missouri football, but it has to start right here and right now.
Let's see. Someone needs to build a hotel in downtown Como so bad. Getting lodging around there is ridiculous right now. That's from the 636.
There's 2 hotels downtown, Tiger and the Broadway. They're not huge. There could be more, but downtown is also, it's not that much room. They also have apartment buildings where students live. So it's, you got to find that balance. But they do have 2 hotels downtown in Columbia.
Well, but I mean, you're bringing in 60+ thousand. That ain't going to get you home.
But Tuscaloosa has the same issue. None of these, unless you're like in, Texas, which is in Austin, or Georgia, which is close enough to Atlanta. These are small college towns.
I don't even look at hotels in college towns anymore. It's Airbnb all day.
Yeah, because it's really, really hard. Vandy in Nashville, but that's a different situation. But small college towns, you can only have so many hotels because most weekends they're going to be pretty empty.
If they want to be relevant early in the season, start by scheduling some real teams. Jackson, that's coming in. Let me take a look at what area code. That's just 636 saying that.
I understand that. And I think as the years go by, I think less and less, I think they'll mix up where the cupcakes aren't all at once. I think that they'll spread it out a little bit. Alabama's been doing that for some years now. I think you'll probably get some more marquee matchups. I believe when the Kansas and Illinois contracts start, certainly next season for the Kansas one, those games will be played earlier in the season. So you will get like a really cool regional matchup like that. But these schedules are made years in advance and subject to change with the ever-changing landscape of college sports. So stay on your toes.
For the record, Kansas is on that schedule next year.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the first couple of games.
Yeah, I believe September 6th next year.
Yeah. So that'll change.
I actually, listen, I share the opinion on the non-conference thing. I think as Jackson made reference to, the schedule is made years out, although Missouri bought out of Miami, Ohio just a few weeks ago. That was going to be a road game next year. You got the Oxford, Ohio trip and the Amherst, Massachusetts trip. You're going to have to cut one of those. But with regard to the schedule, I actually think the 12-team playoff opens it up to schedule tougher because you no longer can get blown up by one loss.
Yep.
And if anything, and we could see this play out, if you get into a spot where Missouri is 10-2 and take your pick of a team with a tougher schedule, there's a chance that Missouri's 10-2 comes up short. I was listening to a college football podcast, that SEC podcast, big fan of that one, and they were saying if Missouri goes 11-1, they're in, but 10-2 is not certain. It depends on who those 2 losses would be, and that's because Missouri's schedule, unlike any other in the SEC, it's ranked the least difficult. And so I understand that criticism. The thing is, considering you will have a trip to College Station, a home game against Auburn, a trip to Tuscaloosa, a home game against Oklahoma, maybe South Carolina or Mississippi State or Arkansas is way better than anticipated. Nobody expected Missouri to do what they did last year. I guess Howard Richards, I was listening to him on Gabe DeArmond's podcast. He predicted it. Tip of the cap to Howard Richards. He actually predicted it. But for the most part, people weren't expecting Missouri to be that. So perhaps one of those games looks more difficult when November rolls around than it does right now. Either way, if you're a Missouri fan from 20 years ago and you would have heard here's your schedule of a trip to College Station, a trip to Tuscaloosa, and home games against Auburn, Oklahoma, you'd be going, oh my goodness,
right? That's
brutal.
Yep.
But that's just the cost of doing business now, especially if you're in the SEC. 1046 in St. Louis. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. Jackson continues the Wide Berth Wednesday here in the final segment of Bloom Party next on 101 ESPN. Welcome back, Bloom Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. Final segment, BK and Ferrario coming up at 11 o'clock. Jackson, a lot of Cardinal discussion in the first half of the program. Talked Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz saying, hey, fans got to fill the building and sell it out for next Thursday's season opener against Murray State. What do you have for this final segment? What does Jackson Burkett have?
What do I have? What do I have?
So you probably have 3 or 4 questions sitting there, and you're thinking, what's the best one to go with? That's what I think you're doing.
We've touched on everything, and I don't want to ask the same questions we've kind of been talking about. I think something that we haven't really touched on today fully is like the juxtaposition, the real duality of what's going on with the Blues and the Cardinals, and how, Doug Armstrong, even though in the same time span has not had the greatest of success on the ice, fans are so much more in on what the Blues are doing and so out on what the Cardinals are doing, even though really the similarity, you could even argue the Cardinals have had better last 3 seasons than the Blues. That'd be a tough argument, but you could make it. And I don't know where the disconnect starts and ends. What is necessarily Doug Armstrong doing so much different than the Cardinals, and what are the Cardinals doing so wrong?
Your thoughts are welcome at 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, and, of course, the YouTube chat as well. Give your thoughts. Tim, would you rather the Tigers make it to the national championship this year, but the Cardinals are this bad for 10 consecutive years, or the Tigers miss the college football playoffs and the Cardinals clean house? That's from Marsh's Burner.
Former.
Missouri makes it to the national championship this year, but the Cardinals are this bad for 10 consecutive years, or Missouri misses the playoffs and the Cardinals clean house. 10 years, you're willing to trade a Missouri national championship. You didn't say the championship. Make it to the national championship.
But they have the chance of winning it, right? Because that's the way
I'll have to yield my time to the gentleman writing in his Marsh's Burner, or the lady.
Right.
Could be a lady. I don't know if I want 10 years of this. I think I can't do that
for the chance at a national championship, win or lose, but just for the chance. That's the only thing I want to see. Though.
It's a decade of oblivion for the Cardinals.
Yeah, but think of the glory for the Missouri Tigers.
I understand, but a decade of this. Which means that'd be 12 seasons of it. Hey, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just telling you my reasoning.
Yeah, I think the reasoning is solid. I think the only thing I want to see for the rest of my life as a sports fan is either Missouri football or Missouri basketball win a national title. That's all I want to see. And so if I have the opportunity, I'm going to take it.
Let's see. With no, clean house, please, not 10 years. That's from the 618.
So Mo is I'm re-signing myself to a 10-year extension now? Is that essentially?
No, he's saying with given the choices, not another 10 years of this. That's what he's saying.
Got it.
And also, plenty of people are not Missouri fans in this audience. So if you're from the 618, they might be like, yeah, I couldn't care any less. I'm kind of looking at my upcoming Illinois schedule and going, yeah, maybe they go 7-5. It'd be a miracle. Great. Don't care if Missouri goes 11-1 and goes to the national championship game. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I would respect them choosing the other option, but I would tell them that I think they're wrong.
Timmy, there's a good chance Cardinal oblivion is coming either way. That's from the 314. I don't think a decade of Cardinal oblivion is coming either way. I'd be very surprised by that.
Right.
Next couple years, I could see it being rough. Mm-hmm. But a decade of Cardinal oblivion. Baseball's boring. M-I-Z. That is from the 636. Mizzou basketball still waiting for a Final Four. And then there's a little shrugging emoji.
I know. I've been waiting my whole life. You don't have to remind me. I'm well aware. Painfully aware, actually.
Army talks to us, not down to us. Army is honest. Mo, not so much. Army makes wise, shrewd moves. Mo, you got to be kidding me. That's from the 573.
I'll push back a little bit on the last part. Doug Armstrong, for as good as he's been, and I believe fans having equity or trusting him is warranted, not every single move he's made is wise or shrewd. I wouldn't necessarily go that far where one is perfect and the other is awful. Nothing is ever all good or all bad. But I definitely agree with the first parts of that statement.
Bazooka Tooth 75 in the YouTube chat says, aside from the obvious, Army's aggressive, Mo is nerdy and passive. Army is up front with the fans, whereas Mo is always dancing around questions and not being up front. No one trusts him. That's from Bazooka Tooth 75.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I get not having trust. Yeah, trust is earned, and you can lose trust as well.
164 people right now watching and talking it over in the YouTube chat. I would sacrifice Missouri never winning a title just to see Mo get fired. That's from Hunter.
I wouldn't. Hunter. Happy little Hunter?
Happy little Hunter. Brian Harmon,
Yeah, from
your
Georgia.
2023 British Open champion.
Yeah, king of the waggle.
I didn't say that, Jackson. That's from the 573. Tell Puckman Pale to shut it or I'll offer sheet. Oh, then it gets into family members.
That's nice. I can't even remember what was said a second ago, so I don't know what I misrepresented about somebody.
I would let the Cardinals relocate if it meant Mizzou made the national championship game. That's from the 314.
I like that person. I like that person.
You want the Cardinals to move too?
No, but I like their energy.
Would you trade the Cardinals for an NBA team?
Stop asking me that question.
I mean, you can ask me the question. I'll be happy to answer it. So I don't know why I can't ask you.
All right. Well, would you trade the Cardinals for an NBA team?
No, I would not.
Okay.
Would you trade the Cardinals for an NBA team?
No, I can't.
Okay. Would you trade the Blues for an NBA team?
Yes.
Oh, well. There it is. There it is. Car Wash Dave says at least the Blues try. That's from the 314. I like that he...
Car Wash Dave?
Yeah. That he like...
Do you think he works at the car wash or is like frequenting the car wash?
All I do is read in the prompter.
How often do you wash your car?
I guess once every handful of weeks.
Yeah. About once a month. About once a month car wash.
Yeah. That's about right. My kids like going to the car wash, so that might be the reason for it.
So you drive. I like to drive through.
You can do the drive-through one, or you can watch it go through. Either way.
I like being in the vehicle while it happens.
Let's see. I didn't say all of Army's moves were great. 573.
You said Army makes wise and shrewd moves, so I took that as you didn't say makes some wise and shrewd moves. You said makes wise and shrewd moves.
Did Jackson just say he's been waiting his whole life to see Mizzou in the Final Four? Welcome to every other Mizzou fan of any age. That's from the 314.
Yes.
Tim, would you trade the Cardinals for a guaranteed annual PGA professional event? No, not at all. Not even a sweat. Yeah. Not even a sweat, honestly. Because non-majors are kind of like whatever. I mean, I'll certainly, I guess I would go. But no, I get it. You want to get a sweet spot for me. You got to get into Ella Reese, dropping by the studio or something.
Right.
That's what's going to get me percolating.
Ella Reese at Augusta.
Ella Reese caddying for me as I am in the field at the Masters.
Yeah.
And then ask, would I trade the Cardinals for that? And now you just put the man to the test. That's what you just did. You put the man to the test.
I'm just imagining Chairman Fred Ridley as you walk up to the first tee at Augusta National.
To hit my 240-yard drive, 120 yards behind everybody else.
With Ella Reese in the painter's outfit as your caddy, and just watch Chairman Fred, the membership at Augusta, watching horror.
Trade the Cardinals for the Savannah Bananas. That's from the 636.
That's an interesting take.
Let's see. Which national title would mean more for Missouri?
Football would mean more.
Yes. Even though you love basketball, you acknowledge that.
College football is in a whole different world. And I'm one of the biggest Missouri basketball fans on this planet. But
that's a no-brainer at this particular moment in history. All right, it's 10:59. That means BK and Ferrario are coming up next. For Jackson Bennett Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. James Carlton, the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, is my insurance agent. I would love for him to become yours as well. Online at carltoninsurance.net, or you can call him at 314-961-4800. And you can just hear him right now here on 101 ESPN because he joins us, and we get a chance to talk it over with my insurance agent. That's James Carlton. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Tim. Did it kind of feel like Coach Drinkwitz was trying to hold Jackson accountable yesterday?
Yeah,
going down in that Murray State game.
I sensed that. I didn't want to say it, but Jackson, you probably felt that.
I did. It felt right in my heart too, right in my black and gold heart.
Well, I sensed it.
Well, hey, and the good news is, I mean, even for a Thursday night game against a lower level team, there's only like 500 tickets left. So I think he should be pretty pleased with that after all. But I tell you, another great thing going on is auto insurance rates are dropping. We saved somebody, I'm not joking, $2,000 a year on Tuesday. $2,000 a year on 2 cars. This wasn't like a massive 6-car household. So if anybody's listening out there and they have 5 minutes, go to carltoninsurance.net. Let us show you how much we can save. Give us a call or text us at 314-961-4800 or again at carltoninsurance.net.